What if a single moment in a quiet park could bring back a past someone spent years trying to forget? A simple single father, Michael Turner, is enjoying an ordinary day with his daughter until three mysterious triplet girls walk up and say something that freezes his entire world. "Our mother has a tattoo just like yours." And in that instant, everything changes. Because some secrets don't stay buried forever. They wait for the right moment to return. Before we begin, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and let's get started. The afternoon sun cast a warm, golden glow over a peaceful suburban park in Northern California. Children laughed in the distance, chasing each other across green lawns, while parents sat on benches, enjoying the rare calm of a weekend without urgency. Among them was Michael Turner, a quiet single father in his mid-30s, sitting alone on a wooden bench near the playground. His 6-year-old daughter Emma played nearby on the swings, her small voice calling out happily every few seconds, just to make sure he was watching. Michael had grown used to silence in his life, not the peaceful kind, but the heavy kind that followed loss. For years it was just him and Emma. No distractions, no support system. Just responsibility. He worked long hours at a logistics company during the week and spent every spare moment trying to make sure Emma never felt the absence of what she once had. Yet even on good days like this, something inside him always felt slightly unsettled. A memory he couldn't quite place. A past he had tried to bury deep enough that it would never surface again. As Emma jumped off the swing and ran toward him laughing, Michael forced a smile careful. "You're going to trip again," he called gently. She giggled and sat beside him, swinging her legs in the air. For a brief moment, life felt normal. Simple, even peaceful. That peace didn't last long. A small group of children approached the sandbox nearby, but among them were 3 identical girls who immediately stood out. They looked no older than Emma, perhaps a bit younger. But what caught Michael's attention wasn't just their appearance. It was the way they moved together, synchronized as if they shared the same thought. They stopped a few feet away from him. One of the girls stepped forward hesitantly. "Excuse me, sir," she said softly. Michael looked up, curious but calm, yes. The second girl pointed slightly toward him, then whispered something to her sisters. They exchanged glances before nodding in agreement. Then all 3 turned back to him. "Hello, sir," the first girl said again, her voice polite but serious. "Our mother has a tattoo just like yours." Michael's entire body went still. The sound of children playing around him faded into the background. Even Emma's laughter felt distant. He blinked once slowly, as if trying to make sure he had heard correctly. "A tattoo," he repeated quietly. The girls nodded in unison. Michael felt a strange tightening in his chest. He hadn't told anyone about that tattoo in years. Not since before Emma was born. Not since before everything changed. It was something deeply personal, connected to a part of his life he had buried so completely that even thinking about it made his mind uneasy. His fingers instinctively curled slightly as he tried to stay composed. "Where did you see it?" he asked carefully. The girls pointed behind them. Michael slowly followed their gesture, and that was when he saw her. A woman stood near a parked car at the edge of the park, partially in shadow, watching the girls with quiet attention. Even from a distance, something about her silhouette felt disturbingly familiar. Her posture, her stillness, the way she observed everything without moving too much. Michael squinted slightly, trying to focus. Then his eyes landed on her wrist as she adjusted her sleeve. A tattoo his breath caught instantly, because it wasn't just similar. It was identical to his for a moment. Michael couldn't move, couldn't speak, couldn't even process what he was seeing. His mind raced through memories he had spent years trying to suppress. And just like that, the calm afternoon shattered completely. Michael Turner stood frozen on the edge of the park bench, his eyes locked on the woman. Across the distance, the sounds of children playing. The wind brushing through the trees, even Emma calling his name. It all faded into a distant blur. All he could see was her. The woman near the car shifted slightly, unaware of the storm she had just triggered inside him. She adjusted her hair, then bent down to speak softly to the triplet girls. They immediately ran back toward her laughing, pointing in Michael's direction, as if they had just delivered exciting news. Michael's pulse grew louder in his ears. No, this couldn't be real. He slowly stood up, his movements heavy, almost uncertain, like his body was reacting slower than his thoughts. Emma tugged gently at his hand. "Daddy, where are those girls going?" Michael didn't answer right away. His eyes were still fixed on the woman, Every instinct in him screamed to stay still, to turn away, to ignore what he was seeing. But something stronger kept pulling him forward. I need a minute," he finally said, his voice strained. Emma frowned but nodded and sat back on the bench. Michael began walking slowly, each step feeling heavier than the last. The closer he got, the clearer she became. She wasn't just familiar, she was impossible. Her face carried the same sharp softness he remembered, the same calm intensity in her eyes. And that tattoo on her wrist, it was not a coincidence, it was identical in every detail. Down to the smallest curve in the ink design. Memories he had buried for years began breaking through the surface. A different city, a different life. A night he had promised himself he would forget forever. Michael stopped a few feet away from her car. The woman looked up for a moment. Neither of them spoke. Her expression shifted from calm recognition of her children to something else entirely. Confusion, then shock. Her eyes widened slightly as they locked onto him, as if she had just seen a ghost standing in front of her. Michael's throat tightened, he started, then paused, swallowing hard. That tattoo. The woman instinctively pulled her sleeve down slightly, but it was too late. Her face had already changed. "Where did you see that?" she asked cautiously. Her voice soft but tense. Michael let out a shaky breath. "I should be asking you that." Silence stretched between them. The Triplet girls stood beside their mother, now looking between the two adults with innocent curiosity, unaware of the weight hanging in the air. The woman's eyes searched his face more carefully now. Something flickered in her expression. Recognition fighting against disbelief, Yoshi whispered. Stopping mid-sentence, Michael clenched his jaw. "I don't believe this," he said quietly. "I spent years trying to forget that mark that night. Everything connected to it." Her breathing slowed, her posture stiffening. "That's impossible," she replied, "because I thought I was the only one who carried it forward." Michael shook his head, slightly overwhelmed. Clearly not the wind picked up gently around them, rustling the leaves as if nature itself was reacting to the moment. Neither of them moved, because both of them now understood something terrifying. This wasn't a coincidence. This was the past returning uninvited, unfinished, and far more complicated than either of them was ready to face.